Hello, my name is Maria Zachary, and today I'm presenting The Neural Dream, a project that connects my English research project with my outside activity, which was visiting the Vatican museums. My essay explored how four novels, which are Fahrenheit 451, The Giver, The Outsiders, and The Lord of the Flies, reflect real neurological processes like memory, fear, imagination, trauma, and identity. What I realized during my museum visit is that art visually represents these same brain processes in a way that closely aligns with what the novels show throughout the story. All three subjects of literature, neuroscience, and the arts try to answer the same question, which is how does the human mind create meaning? In fiction, we see characters experience emotions, memories, and fear from the inside. In neuroscience, we study that the brain circuits explain why people behave the way they do. And in art, those same questions, which are memory, fear, and imagination, become visual. So, even though literature, science, and art can be really different topics on the surface, they actually describe the same internal human experience in the those three different ways they portray it. So first, I'd like to cover the giver. In the giver, one person, which is the receiver, is responsible for holding all of society's memories. When Jonas, who's the main character, begins to receive those memories, he gains emotions which are empathy and moral awareness. The Vatican museums function in a really similar way, but more on a cultural scale. They preserve over 2,000 years of human memory through art that has been created. Um, the Raphael rooms and the Gallery of Maps store emotional, spiritual, and historical memory in the same way the hippocampus stores memory in the brain. Both the novel and the museum show that memory is not just history, but it's also what forms identity and morality. Um, in Fahrenheit 451, Montag begins as sort of emotionally numb in a society that suppresses imagination. His awakening happens after an intense emotional shock, which neuroscience says strengthens memory and internal imagery. Um, the work I chose from the Vatican Museum to kind of connect with Fahrenheit 451 is Michelangelo's creation of Adam in the Sistine Chapel, and I believe that visually represents awakening life and consciousness. The near touching hands symbolize the moment where imagination and awareness begin. Bradbury portrays imagination as waking up in Montag's mind, while Michelangelo shows it visually, and both the art and the literature work reveal that imagination isn't something that's optional, but it's also a biological need of the brain for humans to function. Um, I wanted to connect the outsiders to the Laocoon, uh, which shows which and both of them show trauma and the adolescent brain. The adolescent brain has a really high active amygdala, which means that emotions feel stronger while impulse control develops, and that's why trauma is something that hits teens really hard. In The Outsiders, Johnny's flashbacks, Pony Boy's emotional swings, and Dally's impulsivity all relate to trauma related neural patterns. The Lacan sculpture shows the same thing visually with the twisted body and terrified expressions, Those capture the emotional overload that occurs when fear overtakes rational control. And both the novel and the sculpture show what trauma looks like when emotion overwhelms the brain. In Lord of the Flies, the boys become controlled by fear, and neuroscience calls this amygdala hijacking, where fear overrides logic and reasoning. The boys project their fear onto a beast that doesn't actually exist. Renaissance art often portrays distorted perception and threat misinterpretation in scenes of judgment or chaos. These works show how fear warps the way people interpret reality. Both the boys and the figures in Renaissance art demonstrate how fear is both a biological survival response and a symbolic force. And the work I chose to represent the Lord of the Flies is the Last Judgment of of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. As we can definitely see, people turning against each other during the Last Judgment. So I thought it was something that greatly relates to the storyline of the Lord of the Flies. So just a little summary. This chart summarizes the core neural processes that is represented across the museum and my four selected novels. Emotional memory connects to the giver. Psychiatry connects to the Lord of the Flies. Identity formation connects to the outsiders, and internal imagery and imagination connects to Fahrenheit 451. And this shows that both literature and art are consistently portraying the same neurological systems that neuroscience studies today. My essay argues that fiction reflects neuroscience because authors show how the brain works through memory, fear, imagination, and identity. After visiting the Vatican museums, it's kind of like an awakening for me because art does the exact same thing but through a visual lens. Across the novels, circuits, and Renaissance art, the human mind reveals itself through memory, emotion, imagination, and storytelling. Whether through characters, paintings, or neuroscience diagrams, we're always trying to understand how the brain creates meaning. And together, these fields show that the brain isn't just an organ, but it's also the source of everything that's human, um, with the key emotions of fear, love, morality, creativity, and identity. And that's my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.